Gun Sports Radio is sponsored by Love Radio Network. Welcome to Gun Sports Radio, all about shooting, hunting, self-defense, and more. Now, here are the hosts of Gun Sports Radio, Dave Stahl and Lance Pelkey.
Good afternoon, San Diego. Welcome to Gun Sports Radio, your only radio show in Southern California dedicated to the Second Amendment and shooting sports. Let's make shooting fun again. The show is brought to you by our good friends at the Gun Range San Diego. Go see the fine folks at the Gun Range San Diego, located at 7853 Balboa Avenue, San Diego, California. They're open 10 to 10 every day. Check them out online at www.thegunrangesandiego.com. My name is Michael Schwartz. I'm the Executive Director of San Diego County Gun Owners PAC. I'm joined today by Joe Drammissi, who competes with Firearms for Fun and is a board member of San Diego County Gun Owners. How are you doing today, Joe?
I'm great. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. We're also joined by Jason from the Gun Range San Diego. How are you?
Doing all right. How are you?
Fantastic. We're going to talk more about the Gun Range San Diego and some really exciting offers they have coming up. So appreciate you guys being here. We're also a little bit later going to have Dave Myers in the studio. We'll talk a little bit about that. He's running for sheriff of San Diego County. So as you heard, Dave and Lance and Joe are all out today on assignment, and they left us the keys. So we're taking over the radio, and we're going to do everything we can to entertain and get you some good information. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is San Diego County Gun Owners has been working from our very inception to expand the right to keep and bear arms. And part of that right to keep and bear arms, or at least to bear arms, is CCWs, carry concealed weapon permits, which are exceedingly difficult to get in the county of San Diego. But what we're hearing is that over the last 2 years, as hard as we've been working on the CCW issue, is that the current sheriff, Sheriff Gore, is actually looking to loosen up some of his restrictions and requirements. Now, we don't know that for sure. This is all just information that's been reported to us and things that the sheriff has said. So we want to ask you folks out there to do some things for us. What we're asking you to do to help us is to, number one, go to the sheriff's website under the CCW section and call the number and make an appointment. So if you just do a Google search for San Diego County CCW and sheriff, it'll pull up his website and just kind of read it over. Joe, have you read the website there? I think you just recently submitted an application or preparing to, correct?
Yes, I have. Yeah, hopefully I'll get my application in this week. So I have taken a look at it.
Okay, cool. And so it's got the a little bit of information, so read it over. It's got the application, so print that out with as much information as you possibly can. But most important, call the number on that website and make an appointment. Throw out everything you think you know about CCWs in San Diego, because we all know it's near impossible. But again, we're hearing that the work that San Diego County Gun Owners and others have done is starting to make them budge. So number two, make a list of circumstances where you might need a CCW. Maybe it's your job. Maybe you carry a lot of expensive equipment with you on the job or deal with dangerous people, something like that. Maybe you camp or hike a lot where there's no law enforcement. But sit down and brainstorm and try to think up some creative ways to explain different scenarios or situations where you may need a concealed carry permit. Joe, what are some of the situations that you thought about when you were filling out your application, Joe?
Some of the things that I thought about, I do frequently hike in the backcountry. I think from the days before when I used to do a lot of search and rescue, I found a lot of places that I like to hike in. And because of the kind of work I do, I'm off during the week a lot. So a lot of my hiking is during the week. A lot of my friends aren't available during the week. So I'm hiking by myself in some fairly remote areas a lot of the time. So that's one aspect of it.
Now, Jason, when working at the Gun Range San Diego, do you run into a lot of people that have CCWs?
Never, almost never.
It's pretty rare, right?
Very rare.
Yeah.
Very rare. You pretty much have to be a peace officer. I'm the sales manager. I've been in guns almost 8 years. I'm not allowed to get one.
Yeah, it's been pretty difficult. But again, throw out everything we think we know about CCWs in San Diego, because what we're hearing is that even if you're employed in a job where you work with equipment or expensive equipment or something like that, or you're a contractor, or even if you work for somebody that has you working around expensive equipment, something like that. They're no longer requiring a letter from your employer, for example. This is the feedback we're getting from people. We don't know this is for a fact. Or people have had to supply 3 and 4 months of bank statements showing cash deposits and withdrawals. We're showing that no longer or we're hearing that no longer is something that they require, but we don't know that for a fact. So step 2, we're asking you to make up a list of things or scenarios where you would need a CCW and take it down to the Sheriff's Department. So first, go to the website, make an appointment. Second, make up a list of circumstances where you may need a CCW. And then third, go to the appointment and be very, very polite with the clerks. Remember, these clerks they don't make policy. They're just there to help you. So, dress up, be polite, be nice, tell them a little joke, and ask for their help. They're just following orders, right? They don't have any power to change the policy. And ask them which reasons you should include. So, you come up with this list, you got 4 or 5 things. Ask them, okay, which of these 4 or 5 things is best for a good cause statement? And whatever happens, good, bad, whatever happens, report back to us, because unfortunately there just isn't any clear instruction on this. So we're looking to be able to give people better guidance. If there is a legitimate, real change, then, hey, we want to be able to give them better guidance. If it is just, election year talk, then we want to be able to tell people that too, because, it's important to know. So that's why we're asking you to do this. San Diego County gun owners have been working on this issue literally since the inception, and we're being told by the sheriff that he wants to make changes. So should we believe him? What do you guys think? Should we believe Sheriff Gore that he wants to start issuing and make changes?
I would like to believe that, but, seeing is believing, so we'll see.
Yeah, and one of the reasons, too, I think the policy that Sheriff Gore is promoting here in San Diego is really out of step with what's happening around the rest of the country. And, and this has been changing pretty significantly over the last 15 years or so.
Yeah.
I mean, currently there's, I think, a little over 16 million concealed carry holders, private citizens that carry concealed across the country. And, that comes out to about 6.4% of the adult population in the country. If you look at what it is in San Diego, it's drastically lower than that. It's, we're at about, I think Sheriff Gore said about 1,500 permits. For our population here in San Diego should be about 100 times that, should be about 150,000.
And you actually wrote an article on this, which I want to get into in depth a little bit later, but the numbers really are staggering. And he actually, Sheriff Gore, when he talks to groups, political groups, that sort of thing, and talks about his reelection and talks about what he's done in office, he says all the time, hey, this is the policy that's been around for 30 years. And my reaction to that is, yeah, it's way outdated. The whole world has changed in the last 30 years, starting really with Florida. Is that in your research, is that what you found, that Florida seemed to be the first state to really come out?
Yeah, the states that have the most CCW holders are Florida and Texas, mainly because they started before everybody else. And there's a lot of data and a lot of research now on what's been going on in those states. In Florida, for instance, they've discovered, because one of the complaints is, okay, if private citizens have firearms like that, there's going to be lots of problems. There'll be more shootings, more crime, stuff like that. And that's not the case at all. And
it's turned out to be the opposite.
Well, they did a study in Florida, and it turns out that concealed carry permit holders are convicted of crimes at about 1/6 the rate of police officers, who are in turn convicted of crimes at a much, much, much lower rate than the general population. So as a whole, concealed permit holders are a pretty law-abiding bunch of people.
Yeah, and that's proven to be the case not just nationwide, but also across the state of California. In fact, we've talked a lot about how Orange County went from, in about 5 years' time, went from about 900 CCWs issued up to they're over 12,000 now. I think they're over 13,000 issued. But it's not really about the number. That's not our concern. I mean, it's really everybody's choice of whether they want to be able to protect themselves outside of the home or not. It's really about the policy, and we want to make sure that he has a clear, concise policy that people can understand and follow. So we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to attorney John Dillon, and he's going to have a fantastic update for us. Thank you so much for listening. Welcome back to the segment brought to you by Trident Gunsmithing. Check out Trident Gunsmithing at www.tridentgunsmithing.com. Trident doesn't just do gunsmithing. They're a full-service shop in the Miramar area. They're run by Dan, who's a former SEAL, and Juan, a Marine, both outstanding guys. And this month we're actually having our monthly meeting at Trident Gunsmithing. So San Diego County gun owners, we're going to have our monthly meeting at Trident Gunsmithing in the Miramar area. So come out to our meeting at Trident on November 14th in the evening at 6 p.m. The meeting actually starts at 6:30, but come early for the food and the shopping and to meet some people. Trident Gunsmithing for all your firearms and gunsmithing needs. So on the line we have John Dillon. John Dillon is San Diego County Gun Owners in-house private counsel because he is the legal expert in San Diego when it comes to California and local firearms law. He's an attorney with Gatsky, Dillon & Balance and can be found at www.cafirearmslaw.com. John, are you there?
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I actually was able to catch the last part of you and Joe's conversation regarding CCWs, and I wanted to throw in real quick that, D.C., they also had this good cause requirement that Sheriff Gore has been using the last couple of years, or for the last 30 years, as you put it.
Washington, D.C.?
They actually won. Yeah, they actually won in the courts saying that, the good cause requirement was unconstitutional. The latest thing that happened with that case is that the government decided not to appeal it, so that's the law now over there. So they can't have this, ambiguous good cause. And, that sets a really good precedent for, Second Amendment challenges and CCW arguments, basically saying that this good cause requirement, the unknown, undefined good cause requirement.
So there are nine sections of the federal court system. We're in the Ninth Circuit. Washington D.C. Is that the fourth?
I believe so.
So they're in the fourth. So now, I've been curious about this. So now we have a split. We have the fourth district saying, "Oh yeah, you have to issue. It's a constitutional right." But then the most recent decision in the ninth was that there is no constitutionally protected right to concealed carry. So what do you think a likely pathway is?
Well, the funny thing is the timing of this is kind of unfortunate because we had the case of Peruta that applied to be heard in front of the U.S. Supreme Court on this exact issue, and it actually got rejected from the courts. And the people that have been really following it, they'll know this, but there was extraordinarily strong dissent from two of the justices when they decided not to take the Peruta case because there has been such a split amongst the circuit courts when it came to this good cause standard in CCW. And, D.C., that decision just adds another level of, these split decisions. Basically, Peruta should have been taken by Supreme Court. It was, a joke that they didn't take it. It was 100% ready and ripe. And, you can check out the dissent in that decision to reject the case. It highlights it beautifully. It's a really strong dissent, but
written by the newest Justice Gorsuch too, right?
Gorsuch, yes, he's a part of that dissent. So it does set it up. There's now another court that's deciding a different way until we have more of a split decision amongst the courts. So it's still possible that eventually the Supreme Court can hear it, and the way these courts are, taking their sides and, falling on either side of this argument, it's likely going to be up in front of them again, and the Supreme Court really can't, put off taking a Second Amendment case too much longer. They're starting to stack up in front of them. But kind of, on that same level, the one legal update I wanted to bring up to you guys is, amicus briefs were just filed recently in support of the Sylvester v. Becerra petition for writ of certiorari. I know I threw a lot of words at you, but basically, the amicus briefs are the
it's all Latin to me.
Court briefs. Yeah, it's Latin. It means friend of the court, and basically, they have just been filed in support of the petitioner Sylvester. This case is a Second Amendment challenge to California's 10-day waiting period law. So to circle around here, the 10-day waiting period requirement is when you go to buy a firearm in California, you do the background check, Federal 4473, the California DROS. Regardless of whether or not you pass that background check immediately, there's a 10-day cooling off period that California mandates where you cannot take your gun home and you can't walk out the store with your gun until after 10 days have passed. The argument that the state uses for that is, it prevents people from, finding their wife or husband sleeping with someone else at their home, running down to the gun shop, buying a gun, and shooting, their spouse or the other in a heat of passion, that kind of thing. Now, Sylvester, the case, they challenged this law on a very specific ground, stating that people who already own guns, so I already own a firearm, or people that have a CCW, the permit to carry a concealed firearm, so not only do they have a gun, but they're licensed to carry that gun wherever they go. Those two sets of people, if they pass a background check immediately, the 10-day wait shouldn't apply. So, and if you think about it logically, if I'm a CCW holder, I have a gun on my hip, I go into a store to buy a gun, and I pass a background check immediately, what use is it to wait 10 days? I have a gun on my hip. If there was really an issue of a heat of passion circumstance, why wouldn't the person who has a CCW, aren't they just going to use the gun that they already have?
Now, usually gun laws
down and buying a new gun.
Yeah, usually gun laws in California make a whole lot of sense. This one sounds like it might actually be a little ridiculous, don't you?
Yeah, so the logic and the rationale regarding this law is seriously flawed, and so the Sylvester case challenges that, and it challenges it on a very rational basis. It's like, look, if I already have a gun and I immediately pass a background check, why do I have to wait? If it's a cooling off period, well, that's only a case if, I don't have a firearm already and I'm in the heat of passion. If you're in the heat of passion and you have a gun, and you're going to do bad things, you're going to do that regardless of whether or not you have to wait 10 days because you already have the weapon you're going to use if you're going to do that.
Right. And now
that's why they challenged it.
The plaintiff on this is Firearms Policy Coalition. Is that right?
Yeah. So Firearms Policy Coalition, they've taken this on. They're a great organization that's working really hard on a lot of litigation in California regarding the Second Amendment. These guys, they truly know what they're doing, and their heart's in the right place. These are Second Amendment supporters down to the core.
And if they win, if they win, and if they're successful in this case, that means we think what it would mean is that if you own a firearm, then you no longer would have to go through a 10-day wait period. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. So the one caveat to that is when you do the background check, sometimes people pass it immediately. It's an instant background check that can be done, within 5 minutes. Some people it takes an hour. Some people it takes a day. So basically, if you have a gun and then you go through the background check and let's say you either pass it right then on the spot or you pass it the next day, you'd then be able to get your gun that next day instead of waiting the whole 10 days.
Interesting.
So it would significantly shorten the waiting times for people that already have guns, that are already licensed beyond, ordinary citizens. So,
and I know a lot of people might hear a lawsuit like this and think, well, gee, that's not going to solve all my problems all at once. But the reality is it took us, a good generation, it took us a good 30 years to get to where we are now. 30 years ago, California wasn't a horrible place for gun owners to live. They weren't stepping all over our Second Amendment rights. But they took, little steps here and there, little baby steps in this direction. And next thing you know, we have a whole avalanche of ridiculous gun laws. So this is another way to start, peeling that back and setting a precedent that's pro Second Amendment.
Yeah, and you nailed it. These gun control laws have been slowly being implemented over a very long period of time. And, inch by inch, they, take away and chip away at the right to keep and bear arms, the right to have a gun. And so, a lot of people, they want, one court case that will just turn everything around and invalidate all these laws. Well, that's highly unlikely to happen. Unfortunately, we're going to have to do the long haul process of chipping back, and slowly chipping away at the gun control laws, and that's going to take a lot of time, effort, and attention of not only organizations like Firearms Policy Coalition, San Diego County gun owners, but just individual gun owners in California. You guys got to really pay attention to these laws, to the challenges of these laws, and support them in any way you can, because the only way is a concentrated long-term effort to overturn all this stuff.
Perfect. And one more question. Going back to the CCW, the split in the courts, does that mean that there would have to be another case, a pro concealed carry case, or is reviving Peruta a realistic expectation, or would it be under another CCW involved case?
Honestly, I think there's enough states in this country that have either use this good cause standard or don't use this good cause standard, and it's becoming more of a popular issue to be litigated. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if another state, went through the process of going through the courts and brought this challenge up. But
Peruta's pretty much done. It's run its course. It's gone. Thank you, but that's it for Peruta, right? Yeah, I would think so. So we're gonna have to wait, but to be honest, I don't think we're going to have to wait that long. This is a hot subject when it comes to Second Amendment challenges. It's something that we have shown we can win on. Obviously, such as Peruta, it's been lost, but there's other cases in other states where they've won it, and it's a good decision. And so it can be. I think it'll be revived. Fairly shortly when we're talking about legal terms. And the 10-day wait case, the Sylvester case, where would people go to find more information on that if they want to follow it?
Well, I know that Firearms Policy Coalition, they do a really great job of updating people on their cases that they're involved in. So the firearmspolicycoalition.org, I believe it is.
Yeah, get on their email list. They do a really great job of informing people.
Yeah, and they're up to date. They give you information about the cases, so it really helps. So you can really follow along and read the actual documents. They're really good about showing you exactly what's going on, and I think that's something that a lot of other organizations lack. People aren't able to read the briefs and read what's being filed and read what's being obtained from the government. Firearms Policy Coalition, they do that, and that's a really cool thing, and it helps a lot. Especially for people trying to really understand what's going on. Good
info. John, thank you so much for being a huge supporter of San Diego County gun owners. Thank you so much for all you do.
No problem.
If you could, let everybody know, how do they find you? What's your website?
Yeah, the website is cafirearmslaw.com. That's cafirearmslaw.com. Yeah, we're in office is in Carlsbad, California. You can call us at 760-431-9501. Just ask for John.
Fantastic. Okay, next segment, we're going to talk to Jason from the Gun Range San Diego and hear about all the cool deals that are coming up and continue the discussion. So join us back here at Gun Sports Radio. Thank you very much. Welcome back to Gun Sports Radio. This segment is sponsored by the fantastic people at the Gun Range San Diego. Gun Range San Diego is located at 7853 Balboa Avenue in beautiful San Diego. They're open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Definitely check them out online. Their website, www.thegunrangesandiego.com. And we're here with Jason from the Gun Range San Diego. And Jason, you are
I am the sales manager.
Fantastic. The sales manager from the Gun Range San Diego. And how long have you been working for them?
I'm working for them a little more than 2 years now.
Oh, excellent. Very, very cool. And every year, right around this time, you guys have this really cool program called the 12 Weeks of Christmas. Is that what it is?
It's the 12 Guns of Christmas.
12 Guns of Christmas.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we're currently running our 12 Guns of Christmas sale, where a different gun every week goes on sale for a great price. It's fun for everybody. This week's deal is the OD Green, that's olive drab, Glock 19, which is currently priced at $4.99 instead of the normal retail price of $5.99.
Oh, wow. $4.99 for a Glock 19 is fantastic. 19,
yeah, it's a limited run, this olive drab color. It's great. They always fly off the shelf first, so that's the one you want to grab.
Wow, very, very cool. All right, cool. What else do you have going on? And I know you guys are opening up a classroom.
That's right.
Which I'm really excited about that.
Oh, I am too.
The Gun Range San Diego, such a fantastic shop, such a fantastic range. Employees, Veronica, everybody is so wonderful down there, and I'm really excited that you guys are going to have more classroom and meeting space so that we can start having our meetings there and we can start having more classes and that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited about it.
How's the progress on that?
Well, it's great. We just got that brand new classroom on the building adjacent to ours. John Groff, an instructor who's spent years in this game, he's now accepting CCW appointments. This is for training, education. These classes are small and focused. You can have private classes. Those are available as well if you need it. It's great. John Groff's been doing it a long time.
And is it just California CCWs, or does he do?
This is specializing in California CCWs.
Nice, very, very cool.
Yeah.
And what other classes are you guys looking to start hosting with the additional classroom space?
Well, with that, we also have our instructor who's already been with us for a while now, Manny Mendoza. He's a 20-year plus retired Chula Vista police officer, SWAT officer, and he offers general education, general firearms training in handguns, pistols, and rifles.
Wow, very cool. Yeah, Manny's the best.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah,
Manny's the best. You guys also have Wendy too, right?
Yeah, we do have Wendy.
Yep, she's an instructor, and she actually hosts the Well Armed Woman, which is a shooting group just for women, and they do all kinds of really cool things. They teach new shooters, especially women. San Diego County Gun Owners does a minor sponsorship of them to make sure that they have enough ammunition to teach new shooters and that sort of thing, and they get all the instruction and everything for especially women new shooters. But it's a really, really cool group. They meet once a month at your range at the Gun Range San Diego. And again, Wendy's a fantastic instructor. You guys are just doing a great job at the Gun Range San Diego.
Well, thank you. Yeah, concealed carry weapons permit's a great responsibility, and you really need the training to back that certificate. The gun range can provide training tailored to each individual if necessary, and it's our way of providing a service to San Diego, to our community.
Very cool. Joe, you ever been to the Gun Range San Diego?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's a nice, new, beautiful facility.
It is. It's a fun place to shoot.
Yeah. Are you a member there?
No, a friend of mine is a member there. So a friend that I'd actually ran into, I see him about once a year, I think, because of, we've worked together years ago, and we tend to run into each other once a year. And I didn't even know he was a gun enthusiast. And then we started talking, and he was telling me he shoots, and then he is a member there. So that's how I saw it.
Oh, nice. Now, Jay, tell us about the memberships for the Gun Range San Diego.
Well, there are different levels. There's the bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Each level will give you you get free range access for the year, and depending on how high you go, you get additional benefits. You get 2 free gun cleanings a month, for instance, for the gold membership,
which is huge.
That's a big deal.
So how does that work? So let's say I get what's the minimum membership to get a gun cleaning?
Well, that's the gold membership.
The gold member. Okay, so if I come in and I'm a gold member, and I want my guns cleaned two a month, how does that work? Do I just bring them down and drop them off, or what's the process there?
Well, we run into this every day. A lot of gold members, a lot of gold members here. They'll shoot and they'll drop off, one or both of their guns to clean. And after just a couple of days, we give them a call, and they're nice and shiny, ready to pick up.
Nice and shiny. I like that. So, okay, so you leave them for it takes
a couple, 2-3 days, depending on how busy we are and how big the workload is.
Now, I got to tell you, I used to actually get a kick out of cleaning my guns. I used to, like once every couple months, I'd break them all out and clean them or whatever. And it's that wore off about 10 years ago.
And once we're talking about cleaning AR-15s, things like that, then it starts to get a little old. Yeah, and we're here for that.
Every once in a while, my wife really she starts to nag me and say, "Hey, I haven't smelled hoppies in a long time. Could you please clean the gut?" No, I'm kidding. This stuff smells horrible. Nobody wants that smell in their house, and oh my gosh.
No.
So it's way better. All right, so your gold member, you get 2 free gun cleanings a month. What else comes with a gold membership?
Well, you get the regular free access. You actually get to bring a guest for free every time you visit. You also get free basic rentals.
Oh, wow. And you guys have a huge fleet of rentals.
We have a very wide array of pistols to rent, decent amount of shotguns, a lot of rifles, exotic rifles like an FN Scar, Bushmaster ACR, things like that.
I think you guys had a Tavor for a while?
Yeah, we have a Tavor X95 now. It's a great Israeli rifle.
Yeah, Tavor and a KSG shotgun.
Right, the KSG.
All kinds of cool stuff. The best part, I think the big hurdle sometimes for people buying guns is that they've never tried it. They don't know if they're going to like it until they shoot it. And I think that's one of the big advantages of having a nice big fleet like that is being able to try guns before you buy them.
Right.
Once you buy, it's like buying a car without driving it.
Right. You're not gonna.
Once you get it off the lot, that's it. There's no changing your mind.
Right.
So, how much does a gold membership cost?
You know what? The gold membership price, we just took it up just a little tiny bit. It's it's about $4.99.
Excellent. That's fantastic. Okay, so then that you get the unlimited shooting, you get a guest, you get gun cleaning, you get all kinds of cool advantages. That's fantastic.
That's right.
That's fantastic. Now tell us a little bit about the silver.
The silver is just a little bit less than the gold, about 100 less, and you get half off for a guest.
Yeah.
And it's really the same thing, just without the cleanings that come with the gold, and you get half off a guest.
Wow.
A guest to visit every time you come.
Okay, cool. Now, do you have any idea how many members you guys have?
We have at least a couple hundred.
At least a couple hundred.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I mean, you guys are. I've seen
every day.
Friday, Saturdays. I mean, you guys are have a nice stream of people going through the gun range, San Diego.
Oh yeah.
And what are you seeing? What are people buying?
A lot of foreigners come in. We're a great hotspot for foreigners, actually.
Like you're on vacation?
Oh yeah, people from Europe. Usually people from Europe or Asia. A huge tourist attraction.
Which is amazing. I actually went to high school in Hawaii, and there was a gun range in Hawaii, right in Waikiki, and they had a bunch of different guns like Uzis and all these different. They look like machine guns, but they were all 22 conversions. Mm-hmm. And because Waikiki would get a whole lot of Japanese tourists, and you can't own a gun in Japan, so they'd come and that was like a part of their
deal.
That's a big deal. It's part of their destination. Is that what's going on? So these are
exactly
tourists from other countries. They have no right to keep and bear arms.
Right. We're talking, Germany, huge. We probably get more people from Germany, France, and I'd say China and Japan than anybody else.
Wow. And they're
huge
here on
numbers.
vacation. They want to enjoy the beach. But one of the things on their checklist is, hey, I got to go see what it's all about for these Americans.
Right. You can check out the United States of America. You got to shoot a gun. You got to eat a cheeseburger in and out down the street.
So what's their reaction typically?
They love them. At first, a lot of them are, understandably unnerved at the idea. These are countries whose police don't even carry firearms. Typically, they'll go in, they'll fire, and then they'll come out with the biggest grin you've ever seen.
Yeah.
They'll take pictures. They'll talk about how they had a good time. They often want to ask about the gun laws and how it works. And you kind of have to explain to them that the media really does kind of blow it out of proportion often.
Yeah.
Explain that there is a background check. You can't just you can't typically just take it home right away. Not here. But yeah, things like that.
Yeah, cool. And but it's all smiles.
Oh yeah.
Which is cool. One thing I say pretty often is the one advantage our side has is it's a lot more fun to shoot a gun than it is to ban it.
Yeah, it sure
the more
is.
people we get shooting, the more success we're going to have. All right, let's say somebody goes into the gun range, San Diego, and they've never shot before, whether they're a tourist or not. They've never shot before, or maybe they just aren't experienced. What's the process, or what do you guys have to offer them?
Well, we have range safety officers out on the range to kind of help them out. And these are people who've never seen a gun before in real life, unless they've been in the military in that country.
Yeah.
We help them out. We help them with the loading, the safe handling, of course. Before they even go in, we'll kind of go over, this isn't a toy. You do have to, do not point this at anybody.
Sure.
The general safety rules like that. Show them how to load it, and then once they take off the first, second magazine, they've hit it out of the park. They're having fun.
Wow. And that's something you guys do for anybody.
That's right. Everybody.
Anybody that comes in and says, hey, I'm not really experienced. I want to try a particular firearm that you guys have in your fleet. I actually went down and checked out a KSG shotgun. I've absolutely fallen in love with a KSG shotgun. I have a little bit of a crush on a KSG, just in case Santa Claus is listening out there. So, and I went down and tried it out, and yeah, your range safety officers were extremely friendly and helpful. And that's not a service that costs any extra money. It's just how friendly and nice you guys are down at the gun range San Diego.
Yeah, that is a regular service you get with your lane fee.
That's awesome. Well, very cool. So when are you guys going to announce the next of the 12 guns of Christmas?
Well, we'll be announcing it Monday or Tuesday. It'll go through on our Facebook page, our Twitter account, and you can always give us a call too at 858-573-1911 if you'd like to ask someone in person.
Okay, fantastic. So go down to the gun range San Diego on Balboa, either Monday or go Tuesday. And find out what the next of the 12 guns of Christmas is, and shoot and buy some ammo and say hi to Jason and have a whole lot of fun, right?
Yep, it'll be a lot of fun.
Fantastic. Thank you. The Gun Range San Diego on 7853 Balboa Avenue in beautiful San Diego. Open from 10 to 10 every day. Check them out online, www.thegunrangesandiego.com. Everybody, welcome back to I almost said the Gun Range San Diego. Welcome back to Gun Sports Radio. This is Michael Schwartz from San Diego County Gun Owners, and I'm here with Jason from the Gun Range San Diego and Joe, who is one of our board members for San Diego County Gun Owners. And Joe did something really, really interesting recently. He suggested, San Diego County Gun Owners, in a way to reach out to our members and to reach out to the general public, we should start a blog on the website. And Joe, talk a little bit about that. What brought you to that decision?
Yeah, with the a lot of these guys, Michael, and when you hear Joe on here every week, and some of the others, and Lance, have been with guns forever. I'm relatively new to it. Only the last couple of years I'm back into it. And one of the things that I found getting back into it is a lot of the things that I thought were true or I thought I knew turned out to be just incorrect. There's just a tremendous amount of information out there, and I think that's part of the problem we have is people want to make good decisions, but you get a lot of misinformation through the media and through other places. And one of the things I wanted to do is try to bring good information or accurate information out to people. So I thought the blog is a good place to start because we try to write articles weekly on different subjects related to the gun community and things that we do. And I thought that'd be a good way to get people correct information, accurate information, so they can make good decisions about these issues.
And you've been doing a fantastic job. I mean, it's been about a blog a week or so, or maybe about a blog every 2 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, we've been pretty good, about a blog a week. We've had some contributions from some other board members, starting to get some of the local vendors involved in it. We had a nice piece from Savannah over at Cross Armory. Yep. Wrote on the ammunition laws coming around. So from the seller's point of view. So we're starting to get up and running pretty well. And
I honestly wasn't all that familiar with blogs. I hadn't really followed blogs or read blogs or anything. I didn't really understand what, if I sound like my dad. Like, I don't know what these confounded kids are doing these days with their silly blogs. But the cool thing I've learned to like about blogs a lot is it's a small bite. It's not a big, long, in-depth article.
That's right. A short article for people that don't want to read long articles, right?
Yeah, but it's some really good, like, hey, here's a little bit of information, that you need to know. It's kind of, it takes you about a minute and a half to read the article. For example, one of the ones that you wrote on is Sheriff Gore and his CCW permits, and actually talked about the numbers. There was recently at a in front of a political organization, he talked a little bit about the numbers of CCWs issued, and you really shined some light on the real numbers there.
Well, and that was one of the things. Yeah, I saw he spoke to was a Latino organization, a political organization. And,
Latino American Political Association. And
someone had, made a little video of it, and I was watching the video, and it struck me, Sheriff Gore was kind of proud of the 1,500 CCW permits that we have in the county. And I was thinking, okay, well, that number by itself, I don't know what that means really. I mean, I know it's probably very low, but I really didn't know. So I researched it a little bit. And when you start looking at the trends around the country and, what the numbers really should be, it's really enlightening. So we wrote a little bit about that, or I wrote a piece about that. And we were mentioning a little bit earlier, around the country, this has been a growing trend over the last probably 15 years or so. But there's about a little over 16 million private citizens that own concealed carry permits around the country. And that works out to about 6.4% of the adult population in the country. So I was thinking, okay, well, if that's what it is around the country, then what should it be in San Diego if we were, in line with the rest of the country? And San Diego having about 3.4 million residents in the county, probably 2.5 million adults, we should probably have, if we had 6% here, probably about 150,000 or so concealed carry holders. So 1,500 really in that light doesn't mean a whole lot.
Not impressive. Doesn't mean a whole lot at all, right? Now, also in the studio, he just came. He was just fresh off an event supporting his campaign. Dave Myers, who is 32-year law enforcement veteran with the San Diego Sheriff's Department, and he's a candidate for San Diego County Sheriff. Now, the election's in June, and Dave's the only candidate running against Gore. So we wanted to have him come in and talk a little bit about this, and I think it's perfect that he came in right now about during the CCW section. What are your thoughts on those numbers?
Well, I think it gets down to law-abiding citizens and the right for law-abiding citizens under the Second Amendment, who the sheriff should recognize that personal protection is, in fact, good cause, and you don't need to go to some tortured lengths to prove the fact that you're a law-abiding citizen and that you do, in fact, want a CCW for personal protection. And for some reason, he is extremely reluctant to recognize that the law-abiding citizens in this county are not the ones we should fear, that they are applying for a CCW for a reason. The sheriff is obligated under the law as the chief law enforcement officer to, in fact, enforce the law, not try and create some tortured logic behind denying law enforcement or law-abiding citizens their rights under the law.
Yeah. Now, in your career, again, you've been with the department 32 years, right?
Yes.
32 years, and you're a commander.
Yes.
Which is about as high as it gets, right, in the sheriff's department.
Correct.
So in your during your career, have you talked to him about that, or has there been discussions before the election year on CCW and why he won't issue?
There have been a lot of internal discussions and a lot of internal, mostly surrounded policy and how can we be more transparent. And from my level, there's two more levels above me, and then that discussion seems to die on the vine, and it does not get implemented. It is not followed through, and then we're stuck with what we see today.
And my thought on that is there just hasn't been enough pressure. If he talks about changing a policy and no one cares. If a tree falls in the woods and no one hears it, does it make a sound? I think that there just hasn't really been enough pressure from his neighbors, from the people that he meets with when he goes to different events and that sort of thing. How do you feel about that kind of pressure being put on an elected official?
Well, there's enough pressure being put on him right now because I'm running against him.
There you go.
And that pressure is become very, very obvious to where he is now very, very threatened by the fact that somebody now is speaking up, not only on the issues of CCWs and his lack of leadership there, but across the board. And that pressure from internally, from me running against him, has created a situation where now he's trying to marginalize, he's trying to silence, he's trying to cast aside the person that is bringing that pressure. And right now, it's another candidate that there is a true path to victory to actually bring about change within the sheriff's department where law-abiding citizens can be now recognized for the fact that they want a CCW.
Now, Joe, the most recent blog that you did was on the Luby's massacre in Texas, which happened in 1991. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was again, it's an interesting story, and it was about the 25-year anniversary here in October. of that. So, I had read her book. One of the story, you should read the blog here. It's a good article. But the story is that there was a shooting. A madman essentially drove his truck through the front window of a Luby's restaurant in Killeen, Texas, and drove the truck through the window into the restaurant, got out of the truck, and began shooting people with 2 handguns that he had. The woman that wrote the book that I talk about, Susanna Gracia Hupp, was in the restaurant that day with her parents when this guy drove in. And what's interesting about it is she describes how being on the floor, crouched on the floor with her parents behind an overturned table, and she had a handgun that someone had given her when she was 21. She learned how to use it, and she'd been carrying it. But at that time in Texas, they did not have concealed carry laws there. So technically it was illegal, could be a felony to be carrying a handgun on your person. So she was a chiropractor at the time, and she was fearful of if she got caught doing that, she could lose her license. So a couple of weeks before that happened, she had made the decision to leave the gun in the car. So when this happened in the restaurant, the shooter, when this was going on, was about 12 feet from her. And she thought, great, I've got him. She reached for her purse, and she realized that she left the gun in the car. So while all this was going on, her father decided that he had to do something. He jumped up and rushed the guy. He was shot immediately. Once that happened, another person in the store in the restaurant had broken out a window in the back. So Dr. Hupp grabbed her mom, said, come on, we got to get out of here. And they started running, or she started running. She got out the window, turned around, and realized her mom didn't follow. Her mom had crawled over to where her dad was, and she found out from the police later that the guy just turned to her, put a gun to her mom's head, and killed her. Yeah. So she lost both her parents in there. And again, the situation, she had a gun, and she was reluctant. She left it in the car because of the laws. And it turns out there were 2 other people in there that day that also had done the same thing. Had somebody had a gun in that situation, they may have been able to stop that a lot sooner and saved, 23 people died that day in there. Which is just amazing.
And so your first blog that we talked about, talked a little bit about the numbers, just kind of got down to the numbers of, the 1,500 and 6% and, that sort of thing. But this really talks about the philosophy of being able to protect yourself outside of the home. Dave, when you talk about your CCW policies and what they will be once elected, how much does the philosophy of being able to defend your life in a situation like this weigh into your decision?
Well, in my 32 years, I've had to use my firearm in defense of myself, where I've had to shoot somebody. And that's just, it's a tremendous impact on an individual. But it's not my decision to deny somebody a CCW, it's a law-abiding citizen. I put it like this. Look, my mom is fiercely independent. She travels a lot. She carries a handgun with her. And if she comes in and wants to apply and she could pass the background, then she should be able to carry it.
There you go. And I very much appreciate your support in bringing it up in your election. And thank you so much for standing tall when it comes to CCWs. So we're going to leave it there and wrap it up. I want to thank all our sponsors, the Gun Range San Diego on Balboa in beautiful San Diego, Trident Gunsmithing, where we'll have our monthly meeting on November 14th at 6 p.m. Check them out at tridentgunsmithing.com, and John Dillon from Gasky, Dillon & Balance. Thank you all for joining us.
Gun Sports Radio is sponsored by Love Radio Network.